All right, so let me ask you about some of these play-in games that are happening.
I can't wait for the play-ins.
Me too. It's
I'm
like,
so
get
excited.
your popcorn, baby.
I
All
can't
right,
wait.
listen. Number 8 Wizards at number 7 Celtics. May 18th, 9 p.m. Who do you have?
I have not been this excited for to root for a wizard since like Harry Potter versus Draco Malfoy.
Come on, Charmed. Come on.
Okay, man, the Wizards, it's been an incredible turnaround story for them. Health obviously played a huge role. They were devastated by COVID. Russell Westbrook had it, was suffering the symptoms from it. He also had the torn quad, played his way back into health, and all of a sudden, here he is again, averaging a triple-double, breaking the record for triple-doubles set by Oscar Robertson.
Crazy. 182 to be exact, so people
yes.
know. Well, he's past that now. He got one last night. So.
And then you have the Celtics, who are really one of the disappointments of the season. I love to see it. I love the fact that it is a Celtics loss that clinched the playoffs for the Knicks. Oh man, I am really rooting for the Wizards in this because for various reasons. I love Beal. He's obviously the status of his hamstring is a huge question mark. He was in and out of the Wizards' final game. He started, but then had to be pulled and then ended up playing, but you could see him favoring it. Is he going to be healthy? Is he good to go on Tuesday? And then, of course, the Celtics, no Jaylen Brown. The myriad issues that they've had. I'm rooting for the Wizards. I'd love to see them do it. It'd be a great story for them, although I know many of my Wizards fans hope that doesn't save Scott Brooks's job. What do you think about this? Do you have any predictions for this matchup?
Well, so my partners in crime and my partners in business, Northland, they're like Celtics fans. So shouts to Suzanne A. Bear and Larry G. They're the people that I went in with. They're the other owners of the Atlanta Dream. They're like Celtics fans. So I feel kind of bad saying that I think the Wizards are going to win. And the reason that I say that is the Celtics, it's how you're playing. And I just feel like the Celtics are just not playing good basketball.
Zero momentum right now.
No momentum.
Like a bad team.
Yeah, they have no momentum. And then when you get the blow of one of your best players getting hurt, that just sucks the life out of you. Meanwhile, on the Wizards side, like you said, Russell Westbrook is getting awards for breaking historic records. So that adds to their momentum. So I would just say it's the Wizards, even though I'm sorry, Larry and Suzanne, the Celtics just aren't looking good. Maybe next time. What are you thinking about number 10 Hornets at number 9 Pacers? That's also happening May 18th, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time on TNT. What are your thoughts on that?
Wow, this is going to be fun. Of course, the 10-9 is single elimination. Whoever loses this is out. Yep. I'm going for the Hornets. There's just a lot of bad vibes around the Pacers in the back half of the season, feuding with Coach Nate Bjorkgren.
Yep.
Strange lineups, guys seeming out of sorts. And I just think that Terry Rozier has been one of the hottest players in the NBA. I'm going with the Hornets. I'm going with the Hornets in this matchup. What about you?
I really wanted to go opposite of what you were saying, but these are kind of like ones where if you're watching the NBA, there's certain picks that you're just going to make. Even the Hornets, where they got LaMelo Ball back, and he came back and was throwing the most ridiculous passes as if he was never out. And I'm telling you, stuff like that, plays like that, highlight reels like that gives so much to a team. And so that team has so much life and energy. Scary Terry, as you talked about, he's killing it. And he was one of those players that I believe was killing it before he got to the Hornets, and now he's continuing that play. So yeah, it looks like the Hornets would have it, just because, again, momentum, none for the Pacers. Now on the Western Conference side, we have number 8. This is the one huge. Right here.
This is huge.
This is the one.
This is
number 8 Warriors at number 7 Lakers. Is happening on May 19th, 10 p.m. on ESPN. Who do you have on this one?
I think the Lakers should romp in this if they're healthy. LeBron plus AD. They were the best defense in the league for much of the season. I think that should hold. there's a world in which you could argue that the time without those two players actually solidified the chemistry of that group without the stars. Like Kuzma has really blossomed in this time. I think the Lakers should win and win by like double digits. That said, do not wake up Steph Curry. Do not make that man mad. Like, whatever. I think it was very smart that LeBron came out and said Steph Curry's our MVP the other night.
Yeah.
You don't want
poke a bear. Don't poke a bear.
No bulletin board material at all. I think they should come out and say, and you know what? Draymond Green, the greatest defender ever in the NBA.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, you gotta like pat the ego. I don't think they would be as much as scared of Draymond Green, but this one is so tricky because in a world where Steph Curry could easily be and shouts to the human highlight reel before him, okay, Dominique Wilkins. But in a world where Steph Curry really is a human highlight reel right now, it's scary because some things you can't guard. Like I watched Steph Curry when they were triple teaming him. He just takes a step further back and shoots a deeper three. So what do you do at that point? Oh, I'm really torn on this one. I really am. I mean,
the thing is, can he play 40 minutes? Because when he sits,
it's
offensively, the offense is gone. It's a one-man band, essentially.
He's the human highlight reel for the whole team. And so
he's
that's,
going to have to play like 38 to 40 minutes. Like I
hate that we have all the same answers. I'm trying to like talk myself into saying the Warriors, but it's the Lakers. They're the better team. And I'm just talking team-wise, top to bottom talent and top to bottom skill set. It's the Lakers. What about this one? This one's interesting. I don't know if a lot of people are really like, get your popcorn out for this one, but this one is interesting. Number 10 Spurs at number 9 Grizzlies. It's happening on May 19th, ESPN, 7:30 p.m. What are your thoughts on that one? Because it's not as flashy as the Warriors versus Lakers. But Ja Morant has made it known that he feels that he's a top 5 point guard in the league, and that's just that on that.
Well, time to back it up. The Grizzlies are one of the best defensive teams in the league. The offense is middling. I want to pick them. I'm going to pick them, okay? While also saying that man Greg Popovich scares me.
Yeah.
Like I've just seen it too many times with him and with that team. It's just incredibly hard to pick against them. The fact that they're even here in this conversation is a credit to like the culture that he's built.
Yeah.
I just think Memphis is more talented and they should win.
Okay, I'm going with the Spurs. This is the first one. This is finally because I'm not going to make a bad prediction just to make a different prediction, but this one I feel like is a real toss up. Number 10 Spurs. There's systems, and the Spurs system is made for playoffs. He knows how to prepare for the playoffs. They know how to take away your best things in the playoffs. So
they really do.
Ja Morant, whatever he's doing, you can bet your bottom dollar that right now Pop and his whole coaching staff are game planning on how to not let the Grizzlies do what they like to do. And they're led by a younger group. So for me, I think the Spurs will be able to, just out of sheer experience of how to shut down what people like to do. We've seen them do that. I'm gonna go with the Spurs for this one.
Ja is he is a slasher. He's only a 30% 3-point shooter. He's gonna see a wall of bodies in front of him, and Pop is gonna ask the rest of the Grizzlies to do something. But I'm gonna pick Ja because he made that big statement, and I want to see him back it up.
Okay.
We didn't want it to happen. But it has happened. The NBA playoffs are set to start. The play-in games will start this week. We'll talk about that in a second. But first, we got to talk about the thing that has happened that we were hoping would not happen. It's Knicks Hawks in the playoffs.
No!
Renee, we got to talk about it. We have to talk about it now. What do you... Man, first of all, as a Knicks fan, I'm terribly excited. The fact that we have home court, it's been 8 years since we've been in the playoffs. The fact that it's against the Hawks is bittersweet, but it's going to be really fun. I'm looking forward to it. What are your thoughts about this matchup? I won't ask you your prediction, but what do you think the takeaways from this matchup are going to be?
Well, I mean, it's interesting that it's the Hawks versus the Knicks because we're so similar in so many ways. I think that's kind of, as we were watching week to week, it was like, oh, how are y'all doing? Y'all are still doing good. Yeah. We are too. And then for it to fall number 4 versus 5 in the playoffs to match up, it is bittersweet because I didn't want to meet you guys yet because we didn't want to beat you guys yet, okay?
Oh!
We wanted that for the... We wanted that for the second round. But no, for me, I think a big part of it is going to be the home games. I mean, the Hawks have won 11 consecutive home games. We're playing well at home, but for us, getting healthy. So I think that, a lot of people, if you're looking at what happened in the regular season, I think that you should not count that because we got swept by the Knicks. I know we got swept, but even as a team, like when I was a player, if a team swept us or if I was the team that swept somebody, I was scared going into the playoffs because do you know how hard it is to beat a team 7 times? Like that's really hard. And so the Knicks have already beat us 3 times, and it's just in sports, for whatever reason, the more you play somebody, the more familiar you get. So I don't know. I just think that it's going to come down to shot making. I mean, the Knicks have been crazy hot. And when
very, very
the Hawks
hot.
are hot, it's going to be a shootout. Like, I'm excited. Like, while it's bittersweet, I'm so excited.
So you mentioned the Knicks have beaten the Hawks 3 times this season. I will say, as a caveat, a couple of things about that number. First of all, first 2 wins took place before the switch over from Nate McMillan to Nate McMillan as the coach coming over from Indiana. After Nate McMillan, the Hawks went 27-11. They were floundering in the East before that. So different team than those first 2 wins. The third win, Trey tweaked his ankle in the middle of the game.
Yep.
So there's other factors about those wins. That said, Julius Randle has absolutely eaten against the Hawks this season. He's been massive. I think it will come down to the bench. The Hawks offensively are just unbelievable when they're going. Trey is magnificent, both as a shot creator, a shot maker, and a playmaker. Bogdanovich he's having like the greatest year of his career. He has been so important to that team as a secondary ball handler, as the guy who keeps them running when Trey is on the bench. That's really where they make a lot of their hay. They very quietly kill you with those bench lineups. And so it's going to be about, can the Knicks defense slow those guys enough? Gallinari's hitting like 46% of their threes. Can we slow them enough, and can the Knicks score enough? You mentioned the Knicks offense. The Knicks net rating since March, they've been like the number 3 or 4 team in the league. They've been really good offensively because of the emergence of Derrick Rose and of Reggie Bullock just catching fire. I don't know how much to depend on those things going into the playoffs.
You have to. That's how you got there.
That's how we got there. But if Reggie and Derrick continue to play like that, I like our chances. And then it becomes a question of, can we slow Trey enough? Can we slow Bogdanovich enough?
Yeah, and to that point, you guys are 3rd in 3-point shooting at 39%. And, it's Julius Randle. You talked about, he's been a monster against us. There's no denying it. He's making threes. I think a lot of people before this season, when you look at Julius Randle, you can tell that he is just a great player, and you could tell that his potential, his ceiling is so high. But when he came into this season, this year, and was making 3-pointers at the clip he's making it, like, he's not even just making like the trail 3 where you just stand there and you're wide open. Against us, he made 7. I think he made 7 threes against us. I'm like, okay, what? Like, you expect him to play bully ball, get to the paint, like, just get you out the way, get in the weight room type of moves. He's doing threes, fading away from the corner. This is a Julius Randle that pretty much, he's unstoppable. If he shoots like that, he's pretty much unstoppable.
Yeah, so here's his year-by-year 3-point percentage. 2015, basically he was injured. 2016, 28%, 2017, 27%, 2018, 22%, 2019, 34%, 2020, 28%. Now he's shooting 41%. And
okay, just so people can understand.
I mean, that's a leap that really doesn't happen at age 26, but to be honest with you, as the season was progressing, I'm like, okay, he's hot. Okay, he's just in a groove. We'll see what happens. He's taken so many threes that I think it's real at this point. Like you mentioned.
Yeah,
the 7 threes
I mean, we have to believe
he's hitting them in people. Yeah, he's hitting them like high degree of difficulty, like it against double teams now.
And I want to say something because, yes, we have to believe it. Like, that's a part of players developing their game. A lot of people wanted a player like Blake Griffin to do that exact thing where you're already so athletic. Can you add that shooting to your game? We have to believe it. And here's another thing. Everyone that talks about him says he's one of the hardest workers on the team. Like, he's in the gym. He's getting shots up. So I believe it just for the fact that he worked hard to get there. That doesn't happen. Like, you don't make a jump from 20% to 40% without putting some crazy number hours in the gym. So kudos to him, most improved player.
Now, the backcourt is going to be a real question mark because the Knicks start Elfrid Payton, who I think has probably had his worst stretch of the season over the last few weeks. And whoever is going to be that starting point guard is going to have to match up with Trae Young, who is like lighting it up basically from everywhere. Only shooting 34% from three, but like the volume at which he shoots, it's like Harden. He's just going to end up crushing you because of the amount he shoots. And then he's shooting 89% from the line and he's killing you from the mid-range.
And you have to remember, so I just read something that Chris Paul, he was like 5 shots away from being a part of the 40, 50, 90 club.
Yeah.
And when they broke it down, the point guards, and this, I used to say this all the time, it's tough for point guards because we're the ones at the end of the shot clock that typically have to heave. Like, we're doing those last second heave. We're doing those half court heaves. We're doing those get the ball in your point guard's hand at the end of the possession and make something happen. So when you look at percentages and different players, with point guards, you always have to put a little asterisk there because they're the ones that have to take a lot of bad shots.
That's a great point because look at the people around Trae. Gallinari, I mentioned 46%. Bogdanovich, 45.5%. John
Tony
Collins,
Snell
40%.
is a part of the 50-50-100 club.
Lou Williams,
44%. 100.
So the Knicks, one of the storylines of the season has been the Knicks outperforming their opponent's 3-point percentage. Their defense is going to really be tested against all the shooters the Hawks have. Because that is a ton of shooters. We have Reggie Bullock, we have Alec Burks. RJ Barrett has been really shooting it well in stretches, but the guys you have are just like lights out shooters. So that's going to be a real test.
But our health has been a concern all season long. The exciting part is that we had a lot of players that were just straight up out and not available. Now we have a lot of players that are day to day, which Red Velvet, Kevin Herter, Gallo, Chris Dunn. I always say on air, you better rumble Red Velvet and rumble. Like I tell him that all the time. Chris Dunn is day to day. Clint Capella, Bogey is day to day. So I think the scary thing about our team and the scariest thing about our team is we actually haven't played at full strength at all season. Like we just haven't had it. Like if we get 2 players back, oh no, here goes another 2 that's out. And so I think it's exciting for us as a team because we haven't had that, but it's also scary because if somebody's day to day, you could easily not have them available for a game.
Yeah, and then DeAndre Hunter is coming back, and it's like, congratulations, you're healthy. Now you have to check Julius Randle.
Julius Randle!
What do you do about that? What do you have I hesitate to ask. I know what you're going to say. I don't take it personally. Do you have a prediction for us?
I do. This is not a bold prediction. I just think Hawks in 7. I think that we're going to battle it out. I don't think that either team is better enough than the other team to.
It's gonna be a battle like that.
I just think every game is going to be exciting. I don't know what happens. Like, what if Julius Randle goes for 50, a 50-piece nugget one game? Well, then you might win that. But what if Trae Young goes for 50 the next? We might. So I'm excited to see like what is going to happen. But I don't think anything crazy. Hawks in 7. What about you? What you thinking?
Listen, I think it's also going to be a 7-game series. You know, the thing that I'm excited for, and again, it's been such a long time since the Knicks have been in the playoffs. The thing that I'm interested to see is how experience will play into the Knicks are somewhat more experienced than the Hawks, but both of these teams are relative newcomers to playoff intensity, and with playoff intensity, there's always that X factor player who, when the opposing team takes the first option away and then takes the second option away, shows up and gives you 15, 16, 18 points out of nowhere. Who's that going to be for both teams?
100%. That's what wins championships.
Yes.
You know, on the NBA on TNT, they got a bad rap for it like 8 years ago when they started to call them the others, right? And so it's like your superstars that you know are going to get X amount of points, X amount of rebounds. What are the others going to do? Well, I've been a part of the others before in Minnesota where we won 2 of my championships. I don't take offense to that. It was lit where everyone was scouting for Simone Augustus and Sylvia Fowles and Maya Moore. And then here comes our bench mob and we're like doing numbers. I think that's lit. And you're absolutely right. That's what it's going to come down to.
Let me just first say Knicks in 7. I think that home court will play a crucial role. You mentioned the Hawks have been really have put up a fortress in Atlanta. I think the 4 games at Madison Square Garden will play a role. Knicks in 7.
Okay, no, that's very valid. Okay, so Jason, as you know, the Basketball Hall of Fame enshrinement ceremony for the 2020 class happened over this weekend. It was delayed a year due to COVID, but the big story obviously was the enshrinement of Kobe Bryant after he passed away last year. The class was led by legends like Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett. Shouts to Tamika Catchings, that's my dog. But what are your thoughts of this class? And before you say that, the speeches, I mean, Tamika Catchings' speech, unbelievable, talking about, you know, basketball chose her. Vanessa Bryant's speech talking about how he would have been so proud to have Michael Jordan, his childhood idol. I mean, even her strength. Like, what were your thoughts on this 2020 class?
First of all, just made me feel old. But the other thing is that
facts.
I think just one of the most talented classes ever. Like Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, there are 2 of the best players, two-way players ever. Like guys who really changed the positions that they played. And then you have Tamika Catchings, who not just a pioneer, but an inspiration for people who have hearing disabilities, the way she has overcome that in her life and to become the player that she has been is actually amazing. There was a really great article on her written in the New York Times talking about her ability to overcome her hearing disability as something like her superpower. She was able to develop these other parts of her perceptions to become just like a better observer on the court.
She became a superhero for real. I played against her. Some of the stuff that she does is absolutely ridiculous. And I think that players like that, like, obviously she's a Hall of Famer, but when you just look at her career and the things that she's done and how she maximized her potential. So players that, like, this class is an example of people pretty much that maximize their potential.
And then, you know, Vanessa's speech was really, it was obviously extremely heartfelt and extremely bittersweet. I think that the thing that struck me was that it was really it was her speaking directly to Kobe. Yeah. Like, that's what it was. You know, she even said, like, you know, if he was here, he would thank his opponents and he would thank his mentors, but I'm going to thank you. And then it was really like I don't want to say closure, but it was a extremely personal and intimate dialogue from Vanessa to Kobe, and that was what really hit me. That was really amazing, the strength that she displayed over the course of that speech.
Congratulations, baby. All of your hard work and sacrifices paid off. You once told me, if you're going to bet on someone, bet on yourself. I'm glad you bet on yourself, you overachiever. You did it. You're in the Hall of Fame now.
And it felt so intimate that it was like, not that you felt awkward watching, but it was like, wow, this is really a moment. The way that she was talking, you could feel that that's how they talk to each other. Even when she would like making jokes, it was like this intimate conversation, this insider conversation that she was having with him, and we were all just blessed to witness it.
I was struck by, I thought back to the first Kobe Shaq Lakers championship in 2000. Where they break through. Kobe was like, I want to say 19 or 20 at the time. And I remember just being, because I was an anti-Laker at that time, pretty fervently. Like, I didn't want to see them win. They won so many. Like, I get it. I want to see the Knicks win one. And I just remember thinking, watching that series, being like, man, I'm going to have to watch this guy for 15 years. Maybe. 10, 15 years. Like, how old is he? 19, 20? Like, I'm just
fresh out of high school.
I'm just gonna have to watch this, like, Jordan, literally heir of Jordan, kill teams for a decade plus. So it's really, it's still mind boggling to consider that he is not around. Like, it's still shocking.
Yeah, but you know what? That class of 2020, just how they all embraced that moment. It was one for the ages. And, you know, the 2021 Hall of Fame class was announced, led by Chris Webber, Chris Bosh, Paul Pierce. Yeah, long time coming for Chris Webber. Paul Pierce, Ben Wallace, Jay Wright, Bill Russell as a coach, Yolanda Griffith, Lauren Jackson, Australian legend that killed it in the league, Tony Kukoc. So the new class has been announced, but man, it seems like it's going to be hard to top 2020.
That's a really, really interesting and fun lineup for 2021. Speaking of great moments, so it was the WNBA opening weekend this past weekend. Shouts to my New York Liberty, have already matched their win total from the previous season. Sabrina is the real shit. Holy cow. Let's take a listen to this first.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Tabitha Turner, joined by my partner, Autumn Johnson. And Autumn, ever since the end of last season, throughout the entire postseason, all the talk with this Atlanta Dream organization has been about change, starting from the top down. Last February, as we all know, the Atlanta Dream and the WNBA approved the sale of the Dream to Larry Gottsteiner, Suzanne Hebert, and a familiar name to Dream fans, Renee Montgomery.
Yeah, two-time champion, an all-star, and formerly with the Atlanta Dream, so she's no stranger to this organization. But now this adds player perspective to the executive office. She knows this team. She suited up with this team. She knows exactly what they want and need. So now this just adds a voice into the room that decisions are being made. And hey, it's Renee Montgomery. She's very passionate and very energetic with everything that she does. So expected her to just come in and make an immediate impact, and I'm excited to see her expand in this role.
That was broadcasters Tabitha Turner and Autumn Johnson leading into the start of the Atlanta Dream's first game of the season, talking about our co-host, Renee Montgomery. Renee, we've had you give us some exclusive insight into being a WNBA owner. You've had the experience of playing in your first WNBA game, but give us the inside scoop. What was it like Friday leading up to the start of your very first season as an owner?
Oh, man, it was crazy. It was crazy because I remember that Northland's logo got laid down, I think, late the night before. So I'm like, okay, bomb, the court is ready to go. And then I remember we had some situation with the tickets because right now we have COVID protocol. So you can only have a certain percentage of your tickets available. We had 600 tickets. That's it. Like, that was available to the fans because our arena is a smaller arena. So I remember we're trying to do the ticket shuffle. The players need tickets. This is all this stuff that's going into the game. I know the players are worried about the game, but we're on the back end. We have agents hitting us up like, yo, can you get us some tickets?
Yeah, what is your phone like at this time? Do you just have to turn it off? Like, can you even do anything with it?
I can't turn it off, but it's crazy. I mean, my phone, even since we've been on, like, you know, it takes us an hour and a half to record this. I probably have like 10 missed calls throughout that point, just because things happen. We're trying to figure out Daktronics and the graphics. One of the graphics were wrong, and marketing and community are the two things that I cover. So when we're talking about graphics and branding, that's like literally my job that I'm heading up. So it was exciting though. I like the fast pace of trying to problem solve in a hurry. Our intro video came out. We had a poet that gave spoken word, Ashley Hayes, and it was very powerful. We announced our hashtag, which is Do It for the Dream. And it was this powerful moment where the internet recognized that, oh, wow, the Atlanta Dream is doing something different. And the thing that we're doing different, Autumn Johnson, Tabitha Turner talked about it, are all women, Black women-led female broadcast team. Like Autumn Johnson, Tabitha Turner, LaChina Robinson, Angel Gray. You don't see that very often, but we're trying to normalize things that you don't see. The WNBA is comprised of 80% minority women. So why would the broadcasting not be a representation of what our league look like? Why would the vendors not look like that? We're hiring out pop and creative, and why wouldn't our intro video lean into the culture here in Atlanta and lean into the community? So, man, I don't know. I was just excited to see that people are recognizing that we're just trying to do things differently. We're trying to have that representation that should have already been here, but is here now.
Was there a moment this weekend where you were just able to like stop and take it in, or was it just like go, 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 go?
Oh, man, it was go, 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 go. But my parents came in, and this was crazy because my parents have pretty much been on house arrest since the pandemic because they were just very safe, and they're in that high risk age. So we basically told them, you're on house arrest. So for me to even see them, like having left West Virginia to come here to be at the game obviously this was a monumental time of my life and career. Like, I had that moment, I was sitting there talking to Suzanne, and I was just like, this is kind of crazy that this is our team, And so I think I have that moment every week, sometimes every day when, like I said, when my phone rings about stuff going on with a dream, I don't ever get that, oh, my phone's it's like, this is really crazy that they're calling me about this. Like, it's always still this like, wow, like, okay, so I need to figure this out for the dream type situation. So I've been enjoying it.
That's awesome.
Alrighty, so now it's time for our buzzer beaters, just the topics that didn't make it into the show. And for me, we talked about it a little bit with Josh, but I have my very first starting 5 NFTs coming out. And the reason we call them starting 5 is because it's the 5 monumental moments of my career to date. Everything is storytelling. So it goes to where I've won 5 championships in my career. So we go back to high school, and then we tell a story with the rings. And then it goes to my opting out, my retirement moment, the moment where I broke the record in the WNBA for most 3.5. We hit on those big, big moments. And, we have international designers, like graphic designers that came through and drew things up. And so, for instance, for people that don't know the NFT world, if there's like 1 of 1, you can have 1 of 1. Well, ours, like for instance, for my jersey, we did 1 of 21 because my jersey's number 21. Some things we did 1 of 1. Some things we did 1 of 11 because I played in the WNBA 11 years. So I'm excited. This is a very different endeavor than I have ever done. I even remember texting you, Jason, and being like, how do I describe what an NFT is to people that don't know what an NFT is? Like, I text Jason, I text you because I had to figure it out. Like, how can I break it down and water it down? So it's here. I'm excited.
When are they dropping, and where can they find it?
Yeah, it's dropping May 21st. It's a Friday, and it's on OpenSea. So that's just a place where it's regulated so that people know that they're paying their money to something legit and you're not going to get scammed. So May 21st, everything is about branding. So we picked the May 21 day for a reason. I'm number 21. So we're trying to make it all be branded to a certain extent. Thank you for asking, Jason. What's up with you, though? I think you're going to address something that needs to be addressed right now.
This has to be addressed. Over the past several weeks, I know you also have been inundated with DMs and tweets about whether or not Take Survivor is fixed. I can tell you that it is not fixed. There is no overarching directive to fix Take Survivor. That being said, there are certain structural flaws within Take Survivor that we are attempting to address over the course.
Are you going to go into any detail?
Well, one of the things we're talking about doing is increasing the jury pool, so increasing the number of voters. Everybody who is on this Zoom when we record, including our engineer Sarah, will be able to vote in the coming weeks. We're hoping that will help balance out some of the self-interest issues with the fact that the fact that contestants can vote. We're hoping that will help with it. That is only one of our early reforms that we are putting in place, but I would just like to state for the record now, Take Survivor is not rigged. It has never been rigged. It will not be rigged in the future.
Was it compromised? Listen, so I'm just going to put it out there. People write me every single week, Jason.
Sure.
And they say, hey, are the guests just supposed to win? Like, they ask me that question.
That's not the case.
I had to tell them, you know what? That's a good question for Jason because I don't know.
I will say that I have never said the words, the guest must win. That said, I think that there was maybe some kind of like latent concern, like what would the guest do if they did lose early? Maybe that concern was in the voting pool somehow, and that has been addressed. And I don't think it'll be an issue going forward. And I will say, with the increased voting pool, I think we will see a more fair and equitable Take Survivor as we move into the future. And that's it for us. This has been Takeline. With Jason and Renee. Peace. It's not fixed.